Once again, Shabbat Shalom to all the brothers and sisters. For those who don't understand or know what I said, I just said Shabbat Shalom, which is peaceful Sabbath. You got Shabbat means Sabbath, Shalom means peace or peaceful. Okay? First of all, I want to say all praises to Ahaya. That's the name of the Father. In the name of his Son, Yeshua. That's who we call the Son. That's who we call Yeshua. Some people ignorantly call him Jesus. Well, we know that his name is not Jesus. Why? First of all, the letter J is not in the Hebrew alphabet. The letter J was invented in the year 1700. Okay? Jesus is a Greek name. Hebrew people do not give their Hebrew children Greek names. They give them Hebrew names. Okay? So, that name Jesus is a derivative from Zeus. Zeus is a Roman pagan god, one of the highest gods. And you'd see him sometimes in cartoons. He's the god with the thunderbolt and lightning. Yeah, that goes straight back to Satan. So we don't deal with Satan. We deal with the Most High. Okay, so we call the Father Ahaya, Asher Ahaya, I am that I am. And his name, and his son's name is Yeshua, meaning Savior. Why? It says in Matthew, the 1st chapter, that he came to save his people from their sins. So, whoever comes to save somebody is a Savior. Okay? So this is how we know the true name of the Father and the Son. What I'm going to be going into today, I'm going to go into, and I'm sure a lot of you brothers and sisters are familiar with this subject, Sodom and Gomorrah. Y'all know the story, right? But do you really know the details? Do you really know exactly what Sodom and Gomorrah, what the people of Sodom was dealing with?
They were dealing with just like what most of these people are dealing with right now.
Right? You're right on.
Funny business.
You're funny business, right? And if you can see in the States over there, they passed a law last week saying that now gay couples can marry in all 50 states. So a man and man can go up into a church, and I'm sorry for some of these preachers and pastors, because a lot of them who don't like to marry sodomites, and that's what I'm going to call them.
That's what they are called.
Right? That's what we're going to call them. Because to tell you the truth, that word gay is actually a good word.
Exactly.
That word gay is like everything that they saw in the Bible, they took it. Just like the rainbow. The rainbow is good. And they just took it to make it something bad that they're dealing with. Okay, so you got it in all 50 states in the United States, they are allowed to marry. Man and man, woman and woman. And some of these pastors, I'm sorry for them, because they have no choice.
They'll be tested.
They have, guess what? If you don't marry, your 501c3 is gone. Meaning you have to pay taxes now. Because that's a compromise with church and state. You know what? Just do what we tell you. You say this to your church every Sunday, and you don't have to pay no taxes every year. That's the compromise. That's what a lot of these, even pastors over here in Canada, are compromised like that. And when we look in the scriptures, Christ is like, he's saying, listen, give unto Caesar what is due unto Caesar, and unto the Most High what is due unto the Most High. So in other words, if Caesar's asking for taxes, pay him. Okay? The Most High saying give a tenth, give the tenth to the Most High. Done. Simple. But not so with some of these Christian pastors. They're compromising with Caesar, and they don't want to pay him. They want to, be able to collect the tithes from the people and keep it in their pockets and don't have to pay any taxes. And this is how you know that these are false teachers. Jeremiah 23 talks about that. Woe to the pastors who lead my sheep astray. Okay? Sodom and Gomorrah. That's going to be the title of the lesson. The unrighteousness of Sodom and Gomorrah. And the books that we're going to be using today. First book, it's called the book of Jasher. The book of Jasher is mentioned in the Bible. Okay? Jasher means the upright ones, or the upright. So this is actually called the book of the upright. Where is Jasher in the Bible? Let's see. Let's see. One moment. So that we can all be clear. Joshua 1:18, 2 Samuel. One moment. Let's go to 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel 1:18. And we'll show you where the book of Jasher is mentioned in the Bible. 2 Samuel chapter 1 verse 18. Read.
Second Samuel chapter 1 verse 18.
Go ahead.
Also he bade them teach the children of Judah the use of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher.
It's written in the book of what?
It is written in the book of Jasher.
It is written in the book of Jasher. Okay? This same book that I have right here. The book of Jasher, the book of the upright. Okay? So we're not just reading any book. We're reading the books, the records that is passed down from our forefathers. This actually goes into detail. Well, the Bible only gives you an overview. When you read the books like the book of Jasher and the book of Jubilees, it goes into detail. Okay? Also, let's get another one. Let's go to Joshua 10 and 13. Joshua chapter 10 verse 13. Read.
And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is it not written in the book of Jasher?
Is not this written in the book of Jasher? Okay? So the Bible corroborates this book. Okay? So this is a record that's been passed down. Not only like the books that we got in the Bible, which were scrolls, but also the book of Jasher and other books as well, other records. Alright? And also, we will be going into the Bible. King James Version Bible. If you do not have a King James Version Bible, please get one. Do not get an NIV Bible, NIV, or NIKV, or listen, don't get those other translated ones. It's a mess. And there's a lot of scriptures that they've taken out of those other translated versions of the Bible. So a King James Version, a KJV, is one of the most accurate versions that you should have. Okay? Nothing else. And if you have a 1611 King James Version Bible, that's good. That Bible includes the Apocrypha, which is this book right here as well. If you don't have this book, you don't have a complete Bible. This is supposed to be in the Bible. And if you have a 1611 King James Version Bible, this is automatically in there. emphatically took this out of the Bible in 1928, knowing that, listen, if we would start reading what was really contained in this book, we would really understand and find out what these people are really doing. All these leaders, these elites in the earth today, and how they've tricked us. Okay? So that's why they took it out. Alright. Just to make a segue here. And first of all, as I said, last week they had, I think it's probably still going on, what they call it now is supposed to be a gay pride week. Okay, last week they had what do you call it? The march. Yeah, the Sodomite march. Okay? And yeah, let's see what the scripture says concerning this abomination, this evil practice. Okay? Because it's an evil, it's an unclean spirit. When you see people operating in that kind of demeanor, it's a spirit, it's an unclean spirit controlling them. Because this is not from the Most High. And we're gonna see that in the Bible. Let's go to Leviticus 18 and 22. Leviticus chapter 18, verse 22. So this is going to be our segue going into the unrighteousness of Sodom and Gomorrah. And who, if anyone would like to borrow a Bible, you can borrow mine if you would like. Okay? Leviticus chapter 18, verse 22. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination.
Read it again.
Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination.
So, we know that it's lawful for a man and a woman to lie down together. Okay? So, if you lie down with another man, like how you lie down with a woman, the scripture is telling us it's an abomination. Okay? It's an abomination. Meaning, it's not good. It's something despicable, unlawful, unrighteous. Okay? Read on.
Verse 23. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is confusion.
It is confusion. So when you see people now start lying down with animals, you understand what I'm saying? That is not only an abomination, it's confusion. Because guess what? The animals, they know better. They stick to their kind. And guess what? They go, if it's a male animal, they find a female to mate with. They don't find a male. They already understand the law. Okay? So it's confusion when you have men or women lying down with beasts. In this society, the term is called bestiality. And people are doing it. People are doing it. Right? It's all over the internet. You see it. So, and believe me, it blows your mind to say, well, what happened? Why? Why? And this is a spirit. This is a spirit that controls people to do these practices. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 24. Defile not ye yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you.
So the Most High is telling the children of Israel, don't do these things that you see the other nations are doing. Okay? That's why I've cast them out before you. Meaning that's why I've allowed you to kill them off and take their land. Because what they were doing was abominations. It was sin. So the Most High said, listen, don't follow them. Go ahead.
And the land is defiled. Therefore I do visit the iniquity thereof upon it.
Mm-hmm.
And the land itself vomited out her inhabitants.
So the Most High is saying, when those practices are done on the land, it defiles the land. So you can imagine now the Most High looking down upon the earth and know that, guess what? Practically in the majority of all the earth, this kind of practice is going on. People doing these things and defiling the land. Most High is gonna rain down judgment, because he's gonna come. When he says he's gonna come visit you, this ain't gonna be a lovely, nice visit to say, hey, how are you doing? Hi. Nah, this is a visit with destruction, because the Most High wants his earth to be cleansed and to be clean and to be righteous, not to be defiled with abominations. Go ahead.
Verse 26. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth among you.
So, not only the children of Israel is not supposed to do these things, but if we have strangers, the strangers are the Gentiles, not Israelites. If they're amongst us, serving the same God that we worship, they can't be following those evil practices or those unclean practices that the other nations are dealing with. If they're amongst us, they got to do what we do. Period. Okay? Go ahead.
For all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled.
Okay, so we understood this was before. And this is Moses, this is when the children of Israel came out of Egypt. And Moses now is giving them the law concerning the Most High. So Moses is like, these people before you were doing these things. During the time of Abraham, you had Sodom and the people of Gomorrah doing these practices. Go ahead.
That the land spew not you out also, when ye defile it, as it spewed out the nations that were before you.
And that spewed out is destruction. Meaning, it will kill, you're going to get killed when you do these things, these abominations. Don't think you're going to get thrown out of the land. No, you're going to get killed. Go ahead.
Verse 29. For whosoever shall commit any of these abominations, even the souls that commit them shall be cut off from among their people. Therefore shall ye keep mine ordinance, that ye commit not any one of these abominable customs, which were committed before you, and that ye defile not yourselves therein. I am the Most High your power.
Okay? When you show a Sodomite this scripture, he can't say nothing. First of all, he want to argue with you the Bible. You'll automatically become an atheist.
No. Homophobic.
And that's the term they use. Well, they're like, yeah, you're homophobic. You don't like homosexuals. Well, guess what? If the Most High don't like them,
Exactly.
I don't like them. So yes, I do not like sodomites or homosexuals as the term that they use in today's society. Okay, so these scriptures are like guarding to a vampire. When you show these sodomites these scriptures, they automatically get in a rage. Oh, you're homophobic. Yeah. Okay, but guess what? Let God be true and every man a liar. We're gonna preach this word, whether you like it or not. So tough. Let's go to Leviticus 20 and 13. Okay. see what that cut off and that spew is, and to show you that's actually death. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 13.
Leviticus chapter 20, verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
If a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination.
Mm-hmm.
They shall surely be put to death.
They shall surely be what?
They shall surely be put to death.
Go ahead.
Their blood shall be upon them.
They shall surely be put to death, and their own blood shall be upon them. You're going to die when you do those practices. Okay? Follow me to Romans 1 and 18. And even in the time of Paul, the time of the disciples, you still had these practices still going on. And Paul had to nip it in the bud and say, listen, now, and this is how we first did it. And this is the funniest thing. He started his epistle. The first epistle he started was to the Romans. To the Romans. Knowing that, guess what? This practice is really first started with the Greeks. Them, they were doing this like it was nothing. When you talk about Alexander the Greek, they call him the Great, but there was nothing great about him because he was a Sodomite. And everybody else who were around him, who was Greek, was a Sodomite. That was, to them, that was the norm. Okay? So when Paul wrote his first epistle, he wrote it to the Romans there. In the first chapter, that's where he went in. And he just laid down the law for them and said, listen, because Paul sojourned in the land of Rome and saw all the practices and saw that it was unrighteous and was able to wake up some people and say, come out of this confusion and stop dealing with this because it's not right and it's an abomination. Okay? We're going to read it. Let's go to Romans chapter 1, verse 18.
Romans chapter 1, verse 18.
Mm-hmm.
For the wrath of the Most High is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men.
For the wrath of the Most High is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men. Go ahead.
Who hold the truth in unrighteousness.
Who hold the truth in unrighteousness, meaning they take the truth and make it a lie. Go ahead.
Verse 19. Because that which may be known of the Most High is manifest in them, for the Most High has shewed it unto them.
So the scripture is saying, because that which may be known of God is manifest in them. Meaning that just by them living, you know that there's a God. Okay? The Most High has shewed this unto you. Go ahead.
For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen.
So how are the invisible things from the creation of the world are clearly seen? We're going to get the answer right now. Go ahead.
Being understood by the things that are made.
So because of the things that we see in front of us, that is on the earth, we know, we can see and understand the invisible things that we can't see. Go ahead.
Even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse.
So that they are without excuse. So you choosing to be with a man, man on man, woman on woman, and you can see even the animals that in nature, in creation, is not even doing that. The Most High will use the animals then to testify against you and your unrighteousness. To say, listen, you see the things that you see before you? You should understand that there's a God. Because what you see is righteous and I've made it. You see the animals then is male and female, not male and male. So what's your problem? And you, who is supposed to be mankind, is going off. You're supposed to be more highly intelligent, more than the creature. An animal. A beast. But yet the beast them have more sense. Go ahead.
Verse 21. Because that, when they knew the Most High, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened.
Go ahead.
Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools.
Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. And these homosexuals, I'm telling you, they're all over the place. They're in the schools, they're in the high schools, daycares, colleges, university. My wife, she has one teacher in one of her classes she's going right now. And this teacher is trying to convert the whole class to accept that lifestyle. And it's like every day she's trying to push her uncleanness on the students, forcing them to accept this lifestyle. Like, it's okay. You know, we're nice people too.
The hospitals too.
The hospitals too. The police force. The police departments. I'm watching on the news and I'm seeing two women police. They're showing clips of the Sodomite march. And I'm seeing two police women holding hands together, walking down, and I'm like, look at that. Finally coming out.
Elementary school.
And right, elementary school. So they're not there just to say, you know, we're just going to keep it to ourselves and, you know, we're not bothering anybody. Nah, they actually want to turn everybody like them.
You know that couple that came, the wife, she works in ICU with Sick Kids Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And she said one of the surgeon in there is one of them.
Yeah.
And he was so happy when the parade started. And she said the way they look at her, it's like one woman went up to her and touching her breast and touching her bum.
See that? You see?
She said she just had to rebuke them. She said they're so French, they say
Yeah.
the hospital.
Yeah. And the minute you say something, guess what? You're homophobic.
Exactly.
You're homophobic. Like, no, I don't touch you. Furthermore, don't even be in the same room with me.
Exactly. She said you can't even walk, they just look at you and sizing you up, you know?
Right? Because they're trying to pick the right time when we can, how am I going to convert this person?
So I said coffee break, don't sleep in the room.
Right? So this is what's going on. So they're not there to be your friend and to respect you. They don't respect you.
And the premier went in with her.
Oh yeah, a known sodomite.
Up and down and like very proud.
A known sodomite. A known sodomite that is in a high position of authority.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, that won't be long until that is going to be the norm. I won't even be surprised if they put Hillary Clinton as president next year, knowing that she's not only a witch and a sorcerer, but she's also a homosexual. She is a lesbian.
And even the White House had all the balloons, everything.
Oh yeah, they light up. They had the White House. They had it in the rainbow color. When you look at the White House at night, they were showing us the rainbow color. When they passed the bill, it was just disgusting. It was just disgusting.
There's one pastor in the States that they turn up for him to marry them, and he says, I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So they took him to court.
Oh yeah.
The judge ordered him to marry them.
You see that?
And what he did, he just shut down the church. He says, I'm not for this, I'm for God. And
See that?
He has like a bakery.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I have enough money for retirement.
Mm-hmm.
And he closed down the church.
Hey.
Because he refused to marry them.
Hey, that's the stand. That's the stand that you're gonna have to take.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, you know what? I commend that pastor because it takes a man of God to really say, you know what? The money ain't important.
Exactly.
I'm going to keep my righteousness and forget about this. They can go to another church who's going to be compromised to do his wickedness. Right? So it's crazy. But let's continue. Go ahead, Al.
Romans chapter 1, verse 23.
Mm-hmm.
and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible men, and to birds, and four-footed beasts, and creeping things.
Go ahead.
Wherefore the Most High also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves.
So because of their sinful ways and them being disobedient to the Most High and turning the truth of the Most High into a lie, the Most High gave them up to uncleanness. He gave them a corruptible heart because they were just corrupting the Most High's righteousness. Right? Go ahead.
Who changed the truth of the Most High into a lie, and worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator.
And we still seeing that going on today. We understand in Exodus the 20th chapter, the first verse, that we're not supposed to make any likeness of anything that is in the heavens, that is in the earth, or that is in the water beneath the earth, and bow down and worship them. And we can see people, all different nations, these are the practices that they're doing. Read that part again, huh?
Verse 25. Who changed the truth of the Most High into a lie, and worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen.
Go ahead.
For this cause the Most High gave them up unto vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature.
For even their woman did change the natural use into that which is against nature. Meaning that the woman was created to procreate, to carry the child, to carry the seed. But now, when you have two women lying down together, there's nothing. There's no creation. None of them can give seed.
But they're adopting them.
But they're adopting them, and guess what? Not only that, they're adopting them right now through science and technology. They can inject a seed with certain kinds of hormones to turn a baby homosexual from the time it's being born. They can take a needle and inject it with certain kinds of hormones, and from the baby is in the embryo, it has homosexual tendencies in it. So they're not waiting for a child to be adopted and then to be turned out, which you know that's bad in itself. They're starting from the root. This is what's going on. This is what's running rampant in society. And I'm telling you, this is, the Most High is going to wipe this place clean. When the Most High said destruction is going to come to this place, which is called the daughter of Babylon, which is Canada, America, Mexico, and everywhere in the islands, the Caribbean islands that are practicing these things, trust me, believe me, look to some place in Africa or the Middle East to go. Because I'm telling you, when he's ready to level this place, nothing will be able to live here. Nothing. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 27. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman.
And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman. They don't want a woman, they want an ex-man. Go ahead.
Burned in their lust.
Burned in their lust. Wanting to be with an ex-man instead of being with a beautiful woman. Burning and desiring to have another man. Disgusted. Go ahead.
One toward another. Men with men.
Men with men. Can you imagine when Paul was writing this letter to the Romans? Can you just imagine that picture? And Paul was like, oh my goodness, I gotta write this. First and foremost. Go ahead.
working that which is unseemly,
working that which is unseemly. It's not right. Where did you get this from? Go ahead.
and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meat.
So receiving in themselves that recompense of error, which was me, knowing that now you want to do those sinful ways now, guess what? The diseases that come. You get the diseases now with them. Yeah. You want to do all of that? No problem. Good. Go ahead.
Verse 28. And even as they did not like to retain the Most High in their knowledge, the Most High gave them over to a reprobate mind.
The Most High gave them over to a reprobate mind, telling them, listen, you'll never turn back. That's it. This is what you're going to be for the rest of your life. Because some of them, they don't want to change. And guess what? Those who do change, all praises to the Most High. But majority of them, that's the lifestyle they want to live to the day that they die. That's that reprobate mind that the Most High gave them over to. Go ahead.
To do those things which are not convenient.
Read on.
Being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whispers, backbiters, haters of the Most High, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things.
Inventors of evil things. Go ahead.
Disobedient to parents.
Read.
Without understanding. Covenant breakers.
Covenant breakers. Go ahead.
Without natural affection. Implacable. Unmerciful.
Go ahead.
Who, knowing the judgment of the Most High.
They know the judgment that's going to come to them. They know the judgment. They know what's going to happen. But they still refuse to turn and change. Go ahead.
That they which commit such things are worthy of death.
Are worthy of death. Not only physical death, spiritual death as well. Go ahead.
Not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them.
So they like other people too. They have pleasure in other people who do the same things like them. They love their own kind. They take pleasure being amongst them. Okay? We're going to get one more, and then we're going to go into the book of Joshua. Let's go to Jude, the book of Jude, just before Revelations. Chapter 1, we're going to start at the 6th verse. And this is going to show you that they're not going to just catch that physical death, but they're going to catch that spiritual one as well. Okay? Which is going to be burning in eternal fire. Eternal fire means fire that never ever goes out. You're burning forever. You're just burning. You're burning day by day. You're not burning up, but you're just burning. It's a torment. Jude chapter 1, verse 6.
And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day.
And the angels then who came down, that we call the watchers in the book of Enoch, who came down and they slept with women, which they weren't supposed to do. And from that came giants. From the angels sleeping with a woman, the offspring were giants. The children became giants in the earth. That was not what the Most High wanted in His creation. Okay? And these angels, they're awaiting judgment. They're in chains of darkness, waiting to be judged. Go ahead.
Even as Sodom and Gomorrah.
Even as who?
Even as Sodom and Gomorrah.
Even as Sodom and Gomorrah. What did Sodom and Gomorrah do? Read.
And the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication.
Giving themselves over to fornication. This is what fornication is. Fornication is not a man and a woman getting together before they're married. That's not fornication. Fornication is men and men together, women and women together, women and beasts together, adultery, whoremongering, meaning that you are going yourself, if you're a man, from one woman to the next, and if you're a woman, from one man to the next. That's fornication. Fornication is not coming together with a woman before walking down the so-called aisle or getting married. No. And that's what they teach us in the Christian churches. How does a man and woman meet? If that happens, if you meet a woman and you haven't done the customs of marriage, the customs of marriage is actually go to the father of the woman and asking for the blessing, the father's blessing, to marry his daughter. And if you are able to get with a woman before that custom is done, what you do now, you do that custom after you're with the woman. Now you can be able to go and pursue the duties of marriage and go to the father and say, listen, I need your daughter. I want you to bless me with your blessings to give me your daughter to be my wife. You get a man and woman coming together before a marriage is not fornication. Okay? Fornication is what Sodom and Gomorrah was dealing with, and all the other nations who came after it. Read something from me again, huh?
Jude chapter 1 verse 7. Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the city like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh.
And going after strange flesh
are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire.
Suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. That means that your spirit is going to be killed. Your soul. Not just you dying physically, but spiritually as well. If you're dealing with these abominations and uncleanness and unrighteousness. Okay? Now, let's go into the book of Joshua. Those who do not have the book of Joshua, I recommend you get it. To follow along with us, what you can do, you can go online. If you have a smartphone, go online, Google the book of Joshua. Okay? And then you can follow us like that from your phone or tablet, or if you have the book. Okay? Book of Joshua, the book of the upright. And where we're going to start from, we're going to start from the 18th chapter and the first verse. The 18th chapter and the first verse. What we're going to go into, what Joshua is going to give us and show us, is the details of what was really happening in Sodom and Gomorrah. We know what the Bible says, and we're going to go in the Bible too. We're going to do a comparison to show the similarities and to get the more in-depth detail of what Sodom and Gomorrah was really dealing with and what they were about. Joshua chapter 18, verse 1.
And Abraham rose and did all that the Most High had ordered him. And he took the men of his household and those and those bought with his money, and he circumcised them as the Most High had commanded him. And there was not one left who he did not circumcise. And Abraham and his son Ishmael were circumcised in the flesh of their foreskin. 13 years old was Ishmael when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And in the third day, Abraham went out of his tent and sat at the door to enjoy the heat of the sun during the pain of his flesh.
So this is after when Abraham got circumcised. He's in pain. Imagine you being what, 90 years old. You know, and I can't even imagine that me doing it at the age that I am right now. So yeah, props to, you know, Grandpa Abraham. Right? Continue.
Verse 4. And the Most High appeared to him in the plain of Mamre, and sent 3 of his ministering angels to visit him. And he was sitting at the door of the tent, and he lifted his eyes and saw, and lo, 3 men were coming from a distance. And he rose up and ran to meet them, and he bowed down to them and brought them into his house. And he said to them, If now I have found favor in your sight, turn and eat a morsel of bread. And he pressed them, and they turned in, and he gave them water, and they washed their feet. And he placed them under a tree at the door of the tent.
You see, at this time, this is what the scripture says. Be careful of how you entertain strangers. Because at times, you could be entertaining angels unawares. Meaning that, be careful of who comes amongst you. Because you don't know if they're an angel or not. But Abraham automatically had that spirit of hospitality in it. Seeing these 3 men, knowing that they're coming from their journey. So the hospitable thing was to say, listen, here's some food, here's some water, wash your feet, rest and relax for a while until you're ready to continue on your journey. That's how our forefather operated. That's how we're supposed to operate. We're supposed to be hospitable. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 6. And Abraham ran and took a calf, tender and good, and he hastened to kill it, and gave it to his servant Eliezer to dress. And Abraham came to Sarah into the tent, and he said to her, Make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it and make cakes to cover the pot containing the meat. And she did so. And Abraham hastened and brought before them butter and milk, beef and mutton.
Beef and mutton. So Sarah was not only making some dumpling. You understand? She was making some beef and mutton, some goat. Right? Go ahead.
And gave it before them to eat before the flesh of the calf was sufficiently done. And they did eat. And when they had done eating, one of them said to him, I will return to thee, according to the time of life, and Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And the men afterward departed and went their ways to the places to which they were sent. In those days, all the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, and of the whole 5 cities.
So in Sodom and Gomorrah, had 5 cities that made up that whole region, Sodom. 5 cities. And we're going to read what those 5 cities were dealing with. Go ahead.
Were exceedingly wicked and sinful against the Most High, and they provoked the Most High with their abominations, and they strengthened in aging abominably and scornfully before the Most High.
So even when they were getting older, they were still doing the wickedness, and they were doing more wickedness as they grew old. Go ahead.
And their wickedness and crimes were in those days great before the Most High. And they had in their land a very extensive valley, about half a day's walk, and in it there were fountains of water and a great deal of herb surrounding the water.
So in this valley was fertile. It had fountains and it had herbage, greenery. Go ahead.
And all of the people of Sodom and Gomorrah went there 4 times in the year, with their wives and children, and all belonging to them. And they rejoiced there with timbrels and dancers. And in the time of rejoicing, they would all arise and lay hold of their neighbors' wives, and some, the virgin of their neighbors, the virgin daughters of their neighbors, and they enjoyed them. And each man saw his wife and daughter in the hands of his neighbor, and did not say a word.
So this is what they were dealing with 4 times a year. The people of Sodom and Gomorrah would go down into this little valley, their whole family, and would, what we call today, have orgies. And it was okay. It was okay. This is what they did, and it was just despicable and displeasing in the sight of the Most High. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And they did so from morning to night, and they afterward returned home, each man to his house, and each woman to her tent. So they always did 4 times in the year. Also, when a stranger came into their cities and brought goods which he had purchased with a view to dispose of the people of these cities would assemble, men, women, and children, young and old, and go to the man and take his goods by force, giving a little to each man until there was an end to all the goods of the owner which he had brought into the land.
So these people not only committing abominations with their flesh among themselves, they were also committing sin by stealing and treating people unrighteously. So a stranger would come amongst them into their city with goods, and men, women, and children, old women and old men, would take this man's goods and split it up amongst themselves and laugh. Finish, go ahead.
And if the owner of the goods quarreled with them, saying, "What is this work which you have done to me?" then they would approach him one by one, and each would show him the little which he took, and taunt him, saying, "I only took that little which thou didst give me."
Which thou didst give me. They're not saying they take it. No, they say, listen, you gave it to us. This is what these people were dealing with. Go ahead.
And when he heard this from them all, he would arise and go from them in sorrow and bitterness of soul. Then they would all arise and go after him and drive him out of the city with great noise and tumult.
So, insult to injury. They were like, yeah, get out of our city. After they took this man's goods, they would run this man out of the city. Screaming, shouting at him, harming him, after they stole from him. Go ahead.
And there was a man from the country of Elam.
And there was a man from the country of Elam. Elam is what we call today East India. That's Elam, East India. India that is in the Middle East parts of the regions, just close to next door to Pakistan. Go ahead.
Who was leisurely going on the road, seated upon his ass, which carried a fine mantle of diverse colors.
Different colors.
And the mantle was bound with a cord upon the ass. And the man was on his journey, passing through the street of Sodom, when the sun set in the evening, and he remained there in order to abide during the night. But no one would let him into his house. And at that time there was in Sodom a wicked and mischievous man, one skillful to do evil, and his name was Hadad. And he lifted up his eyes and saw the traveler in the street of the city. And he came to him and said, Whence comest thou, and whither dost thou go?
Where you coming from? And where you going? Go ahead.
And the man said to him, I am traveling from Hebron to Elam, where I belong. And as I passed, the sun set, and no one would suffer me to enter his house, though I had bread and water, and also straw, and provender for my ass, and am short of nothing. And he that answered and said to him, All that thou shalt want shall be supplied by me, but in the street thou shalt not abide all night.
So after even hearing all the abominable things that we just read about Sodom, you know, when you read this now, you're like, well, yeah, there's some good people in Sodom, despite of, you know, what I just read. But really, let's see. Go ahead.
And Hadad brought him to his house, and he took off the mantle from the ass with the cord, and brought them to his house. And he gave the ass straw and provender, while the traveler ate and drank in Hadad's house.
Read 22 for me again, please. Verse 22.
And Hadad answered and said to him, All that thou shalt want shall be supplied by me, but in the street thou shalt not abide all night.
Go ahead.
And Hadad brought him to his house, and he took off the mantle from the ass with the cord, and brought them to his house. And he gave the ass straw and provender, while the traveler ate and drank in Hadad's house. And he abode there that night. And in the morning the traveler rose up early to continue his journey. When Hadad said to him, Wait, comfort thy heart with a morsel of bread, and then go. And the man did so, and he remained with him. And they both ate and drank together during the day, when the man arose up to go. And Hadad said to him, Behold, now the day is declining. Thou hadst better remain all night, that thy heart may be comforted. And he pressed him so that he tarried there all night. And on the second day he rose up early to go away, when Hadad pressed him, saying, Comfort thy heart with a morsel of bread, and then go. And he remained and ate with him also the second day. And then the man rose up to continue his journey. And Hadad said to him, Behold, now the day is declining. Remain with me to comfort thy heart, and in the morning rise up early and go thy way.
So this brother was just a little bit too calm. He didn't even want this guy to leave. When this brother's like, okay, thank you for your hospitality, you know, I need to go. No, brother, stay. Stay, brother. Comfort thy heart. Stay. You know, here's some more bread. Go ahead.
And the man would not remain, but arose and saddled his ass. And while he was saddling his ass, the wife of Hadad said to her husband, Behold, this man has remained with us for 2 days, eating and drinking, and he has given us nothing.
Wow. Check that out. Talk about hospitality. telling the man, come in my house, come. Don't worry, we'll take care of you. We'll give you some food and shelter. And now when he's leaving, they be like, she was just looking at her husband like, can you look at this guy? This guy come in our house, he ate and drank, and he hasn't even given us none. He didn't even say, oh, here's some money. Knowing that this brother, he didn't even want to stay for 2 days. They were pressing him and forcing him to stay. This brother just wanted someone to stay for the night. And then we didn't want to, put anybody out of food and house. But just wanted a shelter for the night and be on his way, knowing that he already had the food for his donkey, which the Bible calls an ass. And he already had his own things. But let's see. Let's see what happens more.
And now shall he go away from us without giving anything? And Hadad said to her, be silent. And the man saddled his ass to go. And he asked Hadad to give him the cord and mantle to tie it upon the ass. And Hadad said to him, what sayest thou? And he said to him, that thou, my lord, shalt give me the cord and the mantle made with diverse colors, which thou didst conceal with thee in thy house to take care of it. And Hadad answered the man, saying, this is the interpretation of thy dream.
Can you imagine this guy? Can you imagine this guy? This brother came in, Hadad took off the man's mantle that was of different colors, along with the cord, and put it in his house there and said, yeah, don't worry, I'll watch this for you. Until you're ready to leave, you can have it. So now when the traveler is ready to leave now, and it's like, okay, brother, can I have my mantle, made of different colors, and the cord? This brother's gonna look at him and say, well, yeah, this is the interpretation of the dream. And he's telling the brother, like, well, yeah, oh, you having a dream? Oh, you thought he gave you something? Oh, okay, this is the interpretation of it. So this brother was being subtle and slick. Go ahead, read that part again.
And Hadad answered the man, saying, this is the interpretation of thy dream.
This is the interpretation of thy dream. Go ahead.
The cord which thou didst see means that thy life will be lengthened out like a cord.
Look at this.
And having seen the mantle colored with all sorts of colors, mean that thou shalt have a vineyard in which thou wilt plant trees of all fruits.
So he's there giving him, a blessed interpretation. He said, listen, brother, you're going to have a long life, and you're going to have abundance of food. That's what your mantle and your cord means. Go ahead. What does the traveler say?
And the traveler, not so, my lord, for I was awake when I gave thee the cord, and also a mantle woven with different colors.
So somebody here is crazy. Somebody's like, listen, when I gave you my mantle, I was fully awake. I was not dreaming. Okay, go ahead.
Which thou didst take off the ass to put them by for me. And Hadad answered and said, surely I have not told thee the interpretation of thy dream, and it is a good dream. And this is the interpretation thereof.
So this brother is still sticking to his madness. He's still there. Listen, brother, I told you your interpretation of your dream. It's a good dream. What's your problem? Take the interpretation and go. You're going to be blessed. Go ahead.
Now the sons of men, give me 4 pieces of silver, which is my charge for interpreting dreams.
Now look at this brother. Adding insult to injury. Not only he's lying to the brother, stealing from him. He's like, listen, you need to pay me $400 for my interpretation. I can imagine this brother looking and saying that to the traveler with a straight face. Like he's serious and mean business. Like, brother, you know you owe me $400. Brother, you can't leave until you pay me. Okay? Read that again.
Now the sons of men give me 4 pieces of silver.
What verse do you have?
Verse 32.
Okay?
Which is my charge for interpreting dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And of thee only I require 3 pieces of silver.
So he's like, I'm going to give you a deal. I'm going to give you a deal. Listen, you know, you're a good guy. Just give me 3 pieces of silver. Okay? Go ahead.
And the man was provoked at the words of Hadad, and he cried bitterly. And he brought Hadad to Sirach, judge of Sodom.
Mm-hmm.
And the man laid his cause before Sirach, the judge. When Hadad replied, saying, It is not so, but thus the matter stands.
So this just got so out of hand that Hadad was like, brother, you're not gonna pay me my few pieces of silver. We're gonna go to the judge. We're gonna go to the judge. And when we go into the Bible, we're gonna see exactly how these people dealt with strangers. They judged them. They judged strangers who came into their land righteously. They judged them unrighteously and condemned them and stole from them. Go ahead.
And the judge said to the traveler, This man Hadad telleth thee truth, for he is famed in the cities for the accurate interpretation of dreams.
Read that again. Read that again. Give me the verses.
Verse 34. And the man laid his cause before Sirach, the judge. When Hadad replied, saying, It is not so, but thus the matter stands. And the judge said to the traveler, This man Hadad telleth thee truth, for he is famed in the cities for the accurate interpretation of dreams.
So the judge was like, listen, what kind of accusation are you bringing against Hadad? Oh, you know this guy don't lie. This guy don't lie, and guess what? All of his interpretations are accurate. So you know the judge was already in cahoots. This is a conspiracy that's going on. That they've already, everybody in the city, they already know that this is how they're going to treat strangers. This is what it's going to be. Go ahead.
Verse 35. And the man cried at the word of the judge, and he said, Not so, my lord, for it was in the day that I gave him the cord and mantle which was upon the ass, in order to put them by in his house. And they both disputed before the judge, the one saying, Thus the matter was, and the other declaring otherwise. And Hadad said to the man, Give me 4 pieces of silver that I charge for my interpretation of dreams. I will not make any allowance, and give me the expense of the 4 meals that thou did eat in my house.
So he's saying, listen, pay me for my interpretations and plus pay me for the food too. So they were just robbing this brother left, right, and center. Go ahead.
And the man said to Hadad, Truly I will pay thee for what I ate in thy house. Only give me the cord and mantle which thou did conceal in thy house. And Hadad replied before the judge and said to the man, Did I not tell thee the interpretation of thy dream? The cord means that thy days shall be prolonged like a cord, and the mantle that thou wilt have a vineyard in which thou wilt plant all kinds of fruit trees.
So this brother's not stopping. He's sticking to his story. He's like, listen, this is what it is. And he's gonna lie to the death. He ain't changing his story. Go ahead.
This is the proper interpretation of thy dream. Now give me the 4 pieces of silver that I require as compensation, for I will make thee no allowance. And the man cried at the words of Hadad, and they both quarreled before the judge. And the judge gave orders to his servants, who drove them rashly from the house. And they went away quarreling from the judge. When the people of Sodom heard them, and they gathered about them, and they exclaimed against the stranger, and they drove him rashly from the city. And the man continued his journey upon his ass with bitterness of soul, lamenting and weeping. And while as he was going along, he wept at what had happened to him in the corrupt city of Sodom.
Okay, one moment. Let's do this. Okay. One moment. So that you guys can all be able to have service on the Wi-Fi. All right. Verse 19, go ahead. So, recap. This brother, he just came in just to stay a night, looking just for some shelter overnight so that he could be on his journey the next day, not knowing that he was going to be taken for everything that he had, and then after be chased out of a city and run out of the city harshly. Okay, this is how the people are. This is the next side of the abomination and the sins that the people of Sodom were doing, other than just being sodomites. This is what the other things that they were dealing with as well. And this is what displeased the Most High, as well as their sodomy. So their sins were great. Their sins was great. Okay? Let's continue. Verse 9, chapter 19, verse 1.
And the cities of Sodom had 4 judges to 4 cities, and these were their names: Sirach in the city of Sodom, Sharkad in Gomorrah, Zabnak in Admah, and Menon in Zeboim. And Eliezer, Abraham's servant, applied to them different names, and he converted Sirach to Shakra, and Sharkad to Sharkrura, and Zebnak to Keziboim, and Menon to Matzillodim. And by desire of their 4 judges, the people of Sodom and Gomorrah had beds erected in the streets of the cities. And if a man came to these places, they lay hold of him and brought him to one of their beds. By force made him to lie in them.
So when you enter into the city, you will automatically see beds just lying in the middle of the street. You'd be like, what's going on here? Why do these people just got beds almost on every street in the city? And then strangers who would come into the city, they would automatically grab them and force them and put them in these beds. Let's see what they do to them while they force them and put them in these beds. Read.
Verse 4. And as he lay down, 3 men would stand at his head and 3 at his feet, and measure him by length of the bed. And if the man was less than the bed, these 6 men would stretch him at each end. And when he cried out to them, they would not answer him.
Go ahead.
And if he was longer than the bed, they would draw together the 2 sides of the bed at each end, until the man had reached the gates of death. And if he continued to cry out to them, they would answer him, saying, Thus shall it be done to a man that cometh into our land.
So this is how they treated strangers. This is what's their welcome. This is what's their welcome. Go ahead.
And when men heard all these things that the people of the cities of Sodom did, they refrained from coming there.
So people got scared. People like, man, if I gotta go somewhere and I have to pass through Sodom, I'm not going. Because they're like, nah, we're gonna get killed. We're gonna get tortured. Go ahead.
And when a poor man came to their land, they would give him silver and gold, and cause a proclamation in the whole city not to give him a morsel of bread to eat, And if the stranger should remain there some days and die from hunger, not having been able to obtain a morsel of bread, then at his death all the people of the city would come and take their silver and gold which they had given to him.
So you see this? Somebody, a poor man would come into their city, their land, and they would be like, here, take some silver, here's some gold. And you'd be like, wow, these people are nice. Look at them giving me all this silver and gold. Not knowing that you can't even use it to buy anything in their land. Because nobody would sell you anything. It was just a ploy just to kill you. Thinking that, oh yeah, we're all nice people, but really, you can't buy nothing with it. Nobody's going to take it from you. Or you can't exchange the silver or gold for food. Go ahead.
Verse 9. And those that could recognize the silver or gold which they had given him took it back.
They took it back after when they see that this man was at the point of death. Go ahead.
And at his death they also stripped him from his garments, and they would fight about them, and he that prevailed over his neighbor took them. They would after that carry him and bury him under some of the shrubs in the desert. So they did all the days to anyone that came to them and died in their land. And in the course of time, Sarah sent Eliezer to Sodom.
Okay, so this is Sarah, the wife of Abraham. Go ahead.
To see Lot and inquire after his welfare.
So Lot, Sarah was actually Lot's sister-in-law. Okay? They weren't really, when you go and check out the lineage, she was adopted by Aaron, who was Abraham's brother. Okay? Go ahead. So Lot was like a brother to her. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 12. And Eliezer went to Sodom, and he met a man of Sodom fighting with a stranger. And the man of Sodom stripped the poor man of all his clothes and went away. And this poor man cried to Eliezer and supplicated his favor on account of what the man of Sodom had done to him. And he said to him, Why dost thou act thus to the poor man who came to thy land? And the man of Sodom answered Eliezer, saying, Is this man thy brother? Or have the people of Sodom made thee a judge this day, that thou speakest about this man? And Eliezer strove with the man of Sodom on account of the poor man. And when Eliezer approached to recover the poor man's clothes from the man of Sodom, he hastened and with a stone smote Eliezer in the forehead. And the blood flowed copiously from Eliezer's forehead. And when the man saw the blood, he caught hold of Eliezer, saying, Give me my hire for having rid thee of this bad blood that was in thy forehead.
Check this out.
For such is the custom and the law in our land.
So because Eliezer is helping this man who's being treated badly by these Sodomites, right? That's what I'm going to call them. I'm not going to call them, yeah, Sodomites, right? One of them took a rock and bust Eliezer's head and said, listen, pay me for relieving you of this bad blood that's coming out of your head. Just to show you these people and the wickedness that they were dealing with. This is the kind of mess that the Most High had to rain down fire and brimstone on them for. Go ahead.
Verse 18. And Eliezer said to him, Thou hast wounded me, and requirest me to pay thee thy hire? And Eliezer would not hearken to the words of the man of Sodom. And the man laid hold of Eliezer and brought him to Shapra, the judge of Sodom, for judgment. And the man spoke to the judge, saying, I beseech thee, my lord, thus has this man done, for I smote him with a stone that the blood flowed from his forehead, and he is unwilling to give me my hire.
I'm sure Eliezer is looking and saying, my God, these people have lost their minds. What's wrong with these people? They're harming people and thinking that it's good, and they want to get paid for it. Go ahead.
And the judge said to Eliezer, this man speaketh truth to thee. Give him his hire, for this is the custom in our land.
So this is the custom in our land, that if you come into our land and we take a rock and bust your head and blood flows from it, brother, you need to pay us, because your blood was bad, and it needed to come out. This was the madness that these people were dealing with. Go ahead.
And Eliezer heard the words of the judge, and he lifted up a stone and smote the judge.
We gotta get, what verse you at?
Verse 21. Verse 21. And the judge said to Eliezer, this man speaketh truth to thee. Give him his hire, for this is the custom in our land. And Eliezer heard the words of the judge, and he lifted up a stone and smote the judge. And the stone struck him on his forehead. And the blood flowed copiously from the forehead of the judge. And Eliezer said, if this then is the custom in your land, give thou unto this man what I should have given him. For this has been thy decision. Thou didst decree it.
So Eliezer was like, okay, two can play at that game. All right. Like, yeah. Take this busted down. And now, guess what? Now you're going to pay me. You owe me now, because that's your custom. That whoever busted somebody's head, you got to pay them. So whatever you're going to give to me, you give it to the man who I so-called owe. So, Eliezer used wisdom on them and beat them at their own game. Go ahead.
Verse 22. And Eliezer left the man of Sodom with the judge, and he went away. And when the kings of Elam had made war with the kings of Sodom, the kings of Elam captured all the property of Sodom, and they took Lot captive with his property. And when it was told to Abraham, he went and made war with the kings of Elam, and he recovered from their hands all the property of Lot, as well as the property of Sodom. At that time, the wife of Lot bare him a daughter, and he called her name Paltith, saying, because the Most High had delivered him and his whole household from the kings of Elam. And Paltith, daughter of Lot, grew up, and one of the men of Sodom took her for a wife.
Hold on for 1 minute. Brother Michael, do me a favor. Can you just open the back door for me, please? So that, some little fresh air can go in. It was kind of hot. Let us walk around here, but thank you.
No problem.
Where you at? Which verse you at?
Verse 25.
Verse 25? All right. Took it back. Yeah, just open it, push it all the way. Wow. Do that again. Actually, continue from where you're at. From verse 25. Go ahead.
Verse 25. And a poor man came into the city to seek a maintenance, and he remained in the city some days. And all the people of Sodom caused a proclamation of their custom not to give this man a morsel of bread to eat until he dropped dead upon the earth. And they did so.
So imagine this. after when we just read in verse 23, came and captured them and took them for captives. And then Abraham had to come and save them out of the hand of these other nations and restore them back their property and save his life. Even these people who got rescued and got help from righteous Abraham. And we're going to read about them in the Bible too, that they still had the nerve to still continue their evil practices and their mistreating of strangers who came into their land. Go ahead. Read that part again. Verse 25.
Verse 25. And a poor man came into the city to seek a maintenance, and he remained in the city some days. And all the people of Sodom caused a proclamation of their custom.
They caused a proclamation of their custom.
Not to give this man a morsel of bread to eat.
Don't give him no bread to eat. You can give him gold and silver, but no bread. Go ahead.
Until he dropped dead upon the earth.
Until he dropped dead. Go ahead.
And they did so. And Paltith, the daughter of Lot, saw this man lying in the streets, starved with hunger, and no one would give him anything to keep him alive. And he was just upon the point of death, and her soul was filled with pity on account of the man, and she fed him secretly with bread for many days, and the soul of this man was revived. For when she went forth to fetch water, she would put the bread in the water pitcher. And when she came to the place where the poor man was, she took the bread from the pitcher and gave it him to eat. So she did many days.
So Lot's daughter saw the bad treatment and the suffering. This man is going hungry day by day until the brink of death, and had to sneak bread and give this man water and bread daily, secretly, so that he continued to live. Read on.
Verse 29. And all the people of Sodom and Gomorrah wondered how this man could bear starvation for so many days.
So they were puzzled. They're like, listen, it's been like a week now, and this brother, he's looking like he's not hungry. He's looking vibrant. He's not starved. What's going on? Read.
And they said to each other, this can only be that he eats and drinks, for no man can bear starvation for so many days or live as this man has, without even his countenance changing. And 3 men concealed themselves in a place where the poor man was stationed to know who it was that brought him bread to eat.
So they were like, listen, who's feeding this guy? Listen, we're going to hide, and we're going to watch this brother all night to see who's going to come and secretly feed him. Because they're like, no, this brother needs to starve to death. This is how wicked and evil these people are. Go ahead.
Verse 31. And Paltith, the daughter of Lot, went forth that day to fetch water, and she put bread into her pitcher of water, and she went to draw water by the poor man's place, and she took out the bread from the pitcher and gave it to the poor man, and he ate it. And the 3 men saw what Paltith did to the poor man, and they said to her, it is thou then who hast supported him, and therefore has he not starved, nor changed in appearance, nor died like the rest. And the 3 men went out of the place in which they were concealed, and they seized Paltith and the bread which was in the poor man's hand. And they took Paltith and brought her before their judges. And they said to them, thus did she do, and it is she who supplied the poor man with bread. Therefore did he not die all this time. Now therefore declare to us the punishment due to this woman for having transgressed our law.
For having transgressed our law. So this is what they do. In their cities they make up their own law. and whoever transgressed it or went against it, and this is just, I'm telling you, just looking at this is just so evil. And now I can understand it's not like today's society, but it is in a way, because especially when you're black, you're arrested and just thrown in jail for just being the color that you are. And then guess what? Sometimes you're not even doing nothing, and you're brought before a judge, and then you're handed down a sentence. And this is just similar to the same thing that we're reading here concerning Sodom and Gomorrah. They're giving people unjust judgments for being good and doing what's right. But read on.
Verse 35. And the people of Sodom and Gomorrah assembled and kindled a fire in the street of the city. And they took the woman and cast her into the fire, and she was burned to ashes. And in the city of Admah there was a woman to whom they did the like. For a traveler came into the city of Admah to abide there all night, with the intention of going home in the morning. And he sat opposite the door of the house of the young woman's father to remain there, as the sun had set when he had reached that place. And the young woman saw him sitting by the door of the house.
And this is the funniest thing. Knowing that when we're reading, I was going to read in the Bible concerning Sodom and Gomorrah and Lot and how he separated himself from Abraham. So it's not like when Lot went amongst the Sodomites, he didn't understand the customs. He knew their customs. So now when we're reading that his daughter got burned to ashes, Lot couldn't do a thing about it, because they would have burned him too. So he had to be you want to stay in that land, he had to stay there and be quiet and don't do nothing while he saw his family, his own offspring, being put to death. That's how the Sodomites them had him in their city. They had him weak. Read on. Verse
38. And he asked her for a drink of water, and she said to him, Who art thou? And he said to her, I was this day going on the road, and reached here when the sun set. So I will abide here all night, and in the morning I will arise early and continue my journey. And the young woman went into the house and fetched the man bread and water to eat and drink. And this affair became known to the people of Admah. And they assembled and brought the young woman before the judges, that they should judge her for this act. And the judge said, The judgment of death must pass upon this woman, because she transgressed our law. And this therefore is the decision concerning her. And the people of those cities assembled and brought out the young woman, and anointed her with honey from head to foot, as the judge had decreed. And they placed her before a swarm of bees, which were then in their hives. And the bees flew upon her and stung her, that her whole body was swelled. And the young woman cried out on account of the bees, but no one took notice of her or pitied her, and her cries ascended to heaven. And the Most High was provoked at this, and at all the works of the cities of Sodom, for they had abundance of food, and had tranquility amongst them.
So they had abundance of food. I mean, and they could have fed a million strangers that came into their city. Okay? But they refused to feed any stranger that came into their city. That was their law. Can't feed any strangers. Go ahead.
And still would not sustain the poor and the needy. And in those days their evil doings and sins became great before the Most High.
It became great. It was full. Their sins reached to the height where the Most High was like, all right, no more. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 45. And the Most High sent forth 2 of the angels that had come to Abraham's house to destroy Sodom and its cities. And the angels rose up from the door of Abraham's tent after they had eaten and drunk, and they reached Sodom in the evening. And Lot was then sitting in the gate of Sodom. And when he saw them, he rose to meet them, and he bowed down to the ground. And he pressed them greatly and brought them into his house, and he gave them victuals, which they ate, and they abode all night in his house. And the angel said to Lot, Arise, go forth from this place, thou and all belonging to thee, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of this city. For the Most High will destroy this place. And the angels laid hold upon the hand of Lot, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hands of his children, and all belonging to him. And they brought him forth and set him without the cities. And they said to Lot, Escape for thy life. And he fled, and all belonging to him. Then the Most High rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah, and upon all these cities brimstone and fire from the Most High out of heaven. And he overthrew these cities, all the plain, and all the inhabitants of the cities, and that which grew upon the ground. And Ado, the wife of Lot, looked back to see the destruction of the cities, for her compassion was moved on account of her daughters who remained in Sodom, for they did not go with her.
So Ado, Lot's wife, she had daughters from another man other than Lot, and that's when she was looking back, because she was like, man, I not only I'm gonna miss my daughters, but she liked Sodom, because that's where she was originally from. Okay, she just married Lot. Lot just took her a wife from amongst the Sodomites, or the people of Sodom. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 53. And when she looked back, she became a pillar of salt, and it is yet in that place unto this day.
And brothers and sisters, as this book says right now, the statue, her pillar, is still there in the land of Israel to this day, in that region. They showed a picture, there's a picture that you can see online where they show her in this pillar, and it's not going nowhere. It's still there. Go ahead.
And the oxen which stood in that place daily licked up the salt to the extremities of their feet. And in the morning it would spring forth afresh, and they again licked it up unto this day. And Lot and two of his daughters that remained with him fled and escaped to the cave of Adullam, and they remained there for some time. And Abraham rose up early in the morning to see what had been done to these cities of Sodom. And he looked and beheld the smoke of the cities going up like the smoke of a furnace. And Lot and his two daughters remained in the cave, and they made their father drink wine, and they lay with him. For they said there was no man upon the earth that could rise up seed from them. For they thought that the whole earth was destroyed.
And this is why you have to look at it and say, okay, this is the reason why they did it, even though this was unlawful, it wasn't right. But they haven't ever been out of the cities of Sodom. They never left. They thought that was just like the only city in all the world. And if that city did destroy, all mankind was destroyed. That's what their perception of what happened. So this is what they're like, well, there's no other man upon this earth, only your father. So listen, we got to continue. So this is what they thought was the best way to lay with their father. Go ahead.
Verse 58. And they both lay with their father and conceived and bare sons. And the firstborn called the name of her son Moab, saying, From my father did I conceive him. He is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger also called her son Ben-Ammi. He is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day.
And this is what we call modern day Palestine. Right? Modern day Palestine. Lot is a man of color. He was a Negro. Okay? In Palestine, who you see today, and I'm telling you, there's the children of Lot that's still there. But guess what? You have the Ishmaelites, the Arabs. They're the ones who is inhabiting that region of Palestine, and then you got the Jewish people that is in Jerusalem, in Israel. But the descendants of Lot, there's a minority still there, but they're living in the slums. They're living in the poorest parts of the place, and they'll never show you them on TV. They'll never show you them, but they're there. I'm telling you. Okay, go ahead.
And after this, Lot and his 2 daughters went away from there, and he dwelt on the other side of the Jordan with his 2 daughters and their sons. And the sons of Lot grew up, and they went and took themselves wives from the land of Canaan. And they begat children, and they were fruitful and multiplied.
That's why when you're reading the scriptures, why the Most High pronounced judgment on Moab and Ammon. Why? When in the land of Canaan, they took the daughters, knowing that the Canaanites then, they mixed with the giants, the angels then. The angels then they slept with the daughters of Canaan. Just like how Esau, when he went and took wives from the land of Canaan, which Abraham told, Isaac told him, don't go here. And he did it just to provoke Isaac. And he took wives and he mixed himself with Satan's seed. Okay? So this is why the Most High pronounced judgment when you read all throughout the Bible against Moab and Ammon. Because guess what? Their seeds are mixed with Satan's seed. Those daughters that they put, the daughters of the land of Canaan, are offsprings of the fallen angels. Okay? Let's go in the Bible. Let's go finish it off. We're going to finish it off, and let's see now what as the details that we get in the Bible concerning Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah. Let's start at chapter 19. Chapter 19, verse 1.
Genesis chapter 19, verse 1.
Go ahead.
And there came 2 angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, arose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face towards the ground. And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the street all night.
They will abide in the streets all night, knowing that they came to destroy the city. But just like how we read in the book of Joshua, is the same thing now we're reading in the Bible. Go ahead.
And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house. And he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat.
Go ahead.
But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot, and said unto him, Where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them.
That we may know them. Meaning that they didn't want to get to know their names. That was the kind of know that they were talking about. They wanted to get sexual with these men, with the angels then. Okay, and we're going to see. We're we're going to see that that's what he was talking about. Read on.
Verse 6. And Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly.
Do not so wickedly. Read.
Behold, now I have 2 daughters which have not known man.
I have 2 daughters which have not known men. That's to show you, Lot knew exactly what their intention was. He knew that. He was amongst them for years. So he knew that they were sodomites. It was in their blood. Okay, so Lot was like, listen, take my 2 daughters. They have not known men. Right? They have not known. I don't even run a lot. Because living in a city like that, I would keep my daughters them guarded too. No, they cannot have a husband from none of these sodomites. No. Okay? But just for the protection of the angels, Lot was like, listen, hey, don't harm these men. Take my daughters. Go ahead.
Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. And they stand back, and they said again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now we will deal worse with thee than with them.
So they seem to lie. This brother, he's just living amongst us, and all of a sudden now he's trying to be like he's a ruler in the city. He's trying to make decrees and telling us what to do. Go ahead.
And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them, and shut to the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou here any besides, son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place? For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxen great before the face of the Most High, and the Most High has sent us to destroy it. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Most High will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife, and thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, and the Most High being merciful unto him. And they brought him forth, and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he escaped, that he said, Escape for thy life. Look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my Lord. Behold, now thy servant has found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life. And I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die.
So Lot was trying to say, listen, nah, man, I want to stay here because, I don't want to go outside of this city. Something bad might happen to me if I go out here. Go ahead.
Verse 20. Behold, now the city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither Is it not a little one, and my soul shall live? And he said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city, for the which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore, the name of this city was called Zorah.
So Zoar, that's where Lot was able to escape to. And the angel couldn't do anything because just before, when you read in the 18th chapter of Genesis, Abraham asked the angel, he said, listen, peradventure there be even 5 righteous in the city. Will you save the city for the sake of the 5 righteous? And Most High said, listen, if I find 5 righteous in the city, I will not destroy it. And guess what? Not even 5 righteous, because it was only Lot and his 2 daughters that was able to make it out of the city, or that was found to be righteous. The mother, she had issues. The 2 sons-in-law, they loved Sodom. So they were like, yeah, whatever, we're staying. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 23. And the sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zorah. Then the Most High rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Most High out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities, and all the plain, and all the inhabitants of the cities, and that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Most High. And he looked towards Sodom and Gomorrah, and towards all the land of the plain, and beheld, and lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace.
So that's how great the destruction was. Abraham could have looked from where he was and saw that smoke rise up miles away. Go ahead.
Verse 29. And it came to pass, when the Most High destroyed the cities of the plain, that the Most High remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow. And when he overthrew the cities in the which Lot dwelt, and Lot went up out of Zoar, and dwelt in the mountain, and his 2 daughters with him. For he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelled in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night. And the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he perceived not when she laid down, nor when she arose. And it came to pass on the morrow, that the firstborn said unto the younger, Behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in, and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose, and lay with him. And he perceived not when she laid down, nor when she arose.
So Lot didn't even know that all of this thing was happening, going on. He was too drunk. He was too much consumed. They gave him so much wine that he knocked out and totally didn't even know what the hell was going on. Okay, so this was done without him being even aware of it. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 36. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with children by their father. And the firstborn bare a son, and called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger, she also bare a son, and called his name Ben-Ammi. The same is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day.
Okay, so just like how we read in the book of Joshua, you can see the similarity. Okay, but book of Joshua, it goes into more detail concerning Sodom and Gomorrah and the evilness from the abominations that they were doing, the transgressions, the sins that they were doing alongside with their abominations, their homosexuality. Okay, their sodomy. Goes into great detail. And this is why I just wanted to bring that out and show you brothers and sisters. Because we can say, yeah man, yeah, they were sodomites and yeah, homosexuals and all of that. But knowing that what we read, they were doing worse things as well as that. Worse things than that. By not feeding the poor and the stranger who came and sojourned in their city. They would starve these people to death, give them silver and gold, and then they're not allowed to buy anything in the city. Now that's evil. That's evil when you really look at it. And this is what the people of Sodom and Gomorrah was doing. Okay, so I want to share that with you because just to get a little bit more insight. Man, tell them they deserve what they got. And to this day, the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, nobody can live there. Nothing can grow there. You can still see the brimstones there still. You can see the sulfur. It's still there. Nobody don't go there. It's uninhabitable. And this is what the Most High is going to do to the daughter of Babylon, because guess what? They're on their way to becoming like Sodom and Gomorrah. They're 80% there. Okay? So, with that, I want to say shalom. Any questions? Please feel free to ask. If not, okay, it's good. It's clear cut. Understood. All praises to the Most High. What we can do, we can pray out, and then we can be on our way. Okay? Do me a favor. I know the children are back here. Somebody just tell my wife that we're gonna pray out. Okay? So we can just get everyone to pray out.